Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about fretboard wood, and Monty's guitar, Montypresso. So this stuff is made, I think it's made for a few different things, but what a lot of people are using it for is to darken fretboards, darken rosewood and rosewood-like fretboards. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of companies start switching from rosewood to other materials for a variety of reasons. These materials tonally, I mean, to me, we could get into a whole conversation about the tonal difference between fretboard materials, but the big difference to me is how they look. And it's not a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference. This, for example, this is an Epiphone inspired by Gibson J45, Indian Laurel on both the fretboard and the bridge plate. Doesn't look too bad. I don't mind the look of this guitar, but I think if it looked a little bit more like rosewood, a little bit richer and darker, it would look even better. So this one's getting the Montypresso treatment on the bridge plate and on the fretboard. I don't think I've seen many people use it on the bridge plate. I'm interested to see how that works out, but shouldn't look that different from what we're getting off the fretboard. I'm going to go through each of these that we're going to be using. I got 6 different instruments. Sorry about that. 6 different instruments that we're going to be using this stuff on. And if you're looking for a video about how to use Montypresso, that's not this video. I'm more just focusing on the results. So we're going to be checking in as I do multiple coats on a lot of these and seeing how it looks. Next up is another Epiphone. This one is a bass. It's one of the Embassy basses. Pretty cool. Once again, we got Indian Laurel or just Laurel. I don't know if it's of the Indian variety. This one actually doesn't look too bad as it is, but I decided to just go ahead and throw it in since I'm doing this to a couple other ones. Could stand to be a little bit darker, so we'll see what happens. We have 2 more basses here. This one is a Squire Classic Vibe P bass, Sonic Blue. Once again, Laurel. The Laurel on this, I just had my tech replace the pots. I haven't even got knobs back on it yet. And he had the strings off. It looks dusty. It's so dry looking, which I've oiled this fretboard before. I'm hoping that the Montypresso will really get that kind of aged, dark rosewood look. I think that'll look really cool with the Sonic Blue, especially with the matching headstock. So that is bass number 2. Bass number 3. It's actually the reason that I got Montypresso in the first place. I got this bass not realizing how non-rosewood looking the fretboard would be. This is a Epiphone Thunderbird Classic 4 Pro, whatever combination of words they throw in there. It's one of the neck-through ones with the Gibson pickups in it, the ceramic ones. It's from 2019, which by what I can tell, this is probably a Ferro fretboard. Interested to see how much we can get it to darken. I've actually already gone in, I've done 2 coats of the Montypresso on this just to try it out, and it's still pretty red. So I did 1 coat for 2 days, and I did another coat for about a day just to see if I could coax anything out of it. So I think this one's going to be, it might be the toughest one out of all these to get what I'm trying to get out of it. Because ideally, I'd like it to look real rich and real dark, not a lot of red to it like it has now. We'll see if that's really something we can achieve. This is a Dillian Firebird, or Phoenix as they call it. Really cool guitar, really aged guitar, as you can tell. This is about the shape I got it in. Very cool. It was hanging at a spot in Phoenix when I lived there, and I kind of knew I had to have it. I'm not super against how the fretboard looks now, but I think with the white and with it being kind of aged, if we could get, once again, that darker rosewood look out of it, which this one doesn't have a lot of red to it like the Thunderbird does. I think this one will be right in there. We'll see what happens. I think that one's rosewood for the fretboard. I can't find anything to confirm it with 100% certainty. The last one, I haven't seen any videos of anyone using the Montypresso on baked maple, roasted maple, if you will. This guitar is a Telecaster I had put together years ago, 7, 8 years, something like that. It's kind of crazy to think about that. I've used this guitar a lot. I love it. I've kind of, you bond with an instrument, you know. The baked maple, I love how it looks anyway, but I saw a picture that Monty's guitar put up when I was doing my research, that they had put it on, they had some kind of baked maple Strat neck, I believe it was, and they had a couple different grades of how long they left it on and what it really did. I think what I'm going to do is coat this thing. I'm going to take it off the body, I'm going to take the tuners off, I'm going to coat it, and I think I'm going to let it sit for like a week and see what happens. I think we're going to get a really nice, dark, rich look out of it. I keep saying dark and rich. Those are our buzzwords of the day. A nice transparent overdrive out of this Montypresso. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time showing you the how of applying it, how to apply it, but I'm just going to focus on the results. So I'm going to cut now. I'm going to show you a little bit of the Thunderbird. I'm curious, since I already used the Montypresso, I am going to try to clean the fretboard off again to see if it comes off. I'm going to use some lighter fluid, you know, naphtha equivalent. I'm curious to see if that comes off at all or if it's pretty soaked into the fretboard. So I will share those results with you. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna try. I just want to see if this streaks off, if it's soaked so well into the wood that it's just kind of impregnated there and it's not going to be removed. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that. I know that it won't come off with your finger after you apply it, but we've got our naphtha here. That's pretty good. So I've applied it pretty thick. I'll show you when I get it laid on here, I'll show you what it looks like. I expected it to come off a little bit more than that. So it soaks into the wood pretty good. I'll show you here in a second. All right, so as you can see, I did a very quick, very rough masking job on here, just enough to cover the finish. Not that, I mean, this is a poly finish. This isn't going to stain it, but this is what it looks like when you apply it, and we're going to let this sit for a while. So you can see it kind of looks like someone smeared chocolate all over the fretboard. I'm going to let this sit for 2 days like this. I'm going to do the whole fretboard, obviously. I did that, like I said, I did this before. I'm hoping we get more of a result now. Based on what I've seen, I can let it sit for longer. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll buff it off and reapply it. But I will be back with you in a couple days after I have applied Montypresso to all of these guitars we've talked about, and we're going to see what kind of results we have. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay, we're here with the finished products. It's been a little while since I applied the Montypresso, the Monty's product, if you will. First instrument we used it on is this. This is a Epiphone inspired by Gibson J45. So this guitar got it for the shortest amount of time of everything we're going to talk about, all the instruments you've seen and are going to see. I'm happy with what it did on this. This guitar didn't need a ton of help. It was just a little bit red, and I wanted the wood to be a little bit darker. I think we achieved that pretty darn well. Only had it on there for about 2 days before I took it off and put strings on it. Yeah, looks really good. I'll try to get a before and after on screen for you so we can see what the difference is overall. Moving right on. So these first couple instruments, if you remember from when we were talking about them before, all of them have Laurel fretboards, which, in my opinion, of the instruments we're talking about, or at least of the Rosewood alternatives we're talking about, need less help. So between Laurel and Ferro, I feel like the Laurel is a lot closer. It just needs dialed in. and I feel like it did a good job on all of these. The next one is a Epiphone, once again. This is an Embassy bass. I don't have strings on it yet, but looks pretty good. Nice, rich, dark. Overall, it could stand to be darker, but that's not me slighting the instrument. Like, it looks good how it is. The next one up is a Squier Classic Vibe P, once again with Laurel. This one looks good too. I may or may not remember me talking about this in the intro. It was almost like a dusty look to the, I wasn't dusty, but the fretboard almost looked dusty. It was just some kind of dry, not necessarily lightness. It looked nice and dark, but there was something about it that just wasn't there, and I think we've nailed it here. Both of these, I had it on for, I think I left just the first coat on for about 3 days, and that's about all we needed. Now we're getting into the ones that had it for a little bit longer, and the results on these are a little bit more interesting, but each of these had a little bit of a different story. So this is a Epiphone set neck Pro 4 Thunderbird Classic, some combination of words there. So this one, I believe, I can't find any official documentation. I believe we're looking at a Ferro fretboard though. This one, I like how it got rid of some of the redness. It's a little bit more brown looking now, a little bit closer to Rosewood, but it's still very light looking on the grain. In the future, I might end up using the Montypresso a little bit more, see if I can get it a little bit darker. How these first couple looked, if I could get this to that, I would love it. Something tells me I might not be able to, which, you know, if it's not there, it's not there. But I am tired of not being able to play this bass because it just sounds so good. So we're gonna go with this for now. If you got Ferro, maybe it needs to sit a little bit longer. This one, I did the first coat for about 2 or 3 days, and then took it off to see what we were looking at and knew it still needed more. So another 2 or 3 days with another coat, and this is what we're looking at. So I feel like I kind of went above and beyond, or at least very adequate with my treatment on this one, and it's still not quite where I ideally would want it. But most of these, I'm used to seeing the white Thunderbirds with ebony fretboards, so maybe my expectation's a little bit high on that one. Oh, don't do that. The next one, this is my Dillian Firebird, Dillian Phoenix. This one I wasn't super unhappy with how it looked before. It was a little bit red and a little bit lighter. And we've combated that a bit. I did 2 coats on this one, 2 days each. And overall, looks pretty good. It's a little bit darker than it was. Full look there. That's what we're looking at on that one. I don't have much to say, kind of speaks for itself. And the last one was one I was interested to see a bit more than the others. This is the Roasted Maple. So this is my Parts Telly. Started life as a Squier John 5 and has been effectively gutted. This one, I don't know what I expected. I mean, it did make it a bit darker, and what I really like is I've had this guitar for years. I've been playing it as it is for years, and it kind of, all the little chips and everything, it makes it feel even more worn in. But it didn't make it drastically darker. I was, once again, set your expectations reasonably, I suppose. I was almost expecting it to come out looking like Rosewood. This one, I did a full coat on the whole neck. I let it sit for 4 days or so, and then I did a second coat just on the fretboard. If you take a good look, there's a little bit more darkness on the fretboard, and especially up here, the grain right here was darker as it was anyway. But I don't think it changed the whole vibe of this guitar. I think it just wore the neck in a little bit, which, what do they call it? Relic wax? So maybe it's doing as it's supposed to there. The original instrument relic wax. So yeah, on the roasted maple, I think it's a cool thing to do, but I don't think it's something that's going to change your neck drastically, which was kind of what I was expecting. So that's what we're looking at. Thanks for checking out the video. That is Monty's guitar, Montypresso. I might use it a little bit more on the Thunderbird, which you might see in videos coming up, but that's what we're looking at for today. Thanks for stopping by.